Both bands are really hard to pigeonhole into one type of music. I just want to get both of your takes on how that's helped and or hurt both your bands.
Me first, it's been, I think we've built a loyal group of people that support our band. I mean, I always say that, you know, our best 1,000 against any band's best 1,000, and we whip everybody's ass. You know, I mean, we have that loyalty. We also are the type of band that could go out and play with Creed back in the day and then next week be out on the road with Slipknot, but you would never see Slipknot and Creed in the same room together,
right.
You know. Unfortunately, the reason why it didn't help us really gain anything other than the greatest thing in the world, which is loyalty and longevity, we were too heavy for the Creed people and not heavy enough for the Slipknot people.
Right. But you also had the versatility to go out with them, but also do Ozfest
Exactly.
with more conventional bands.
And you could put an album out like Black Out the Sun, which entered top 20 on Billboard,
Yeah.
which is pretty darn impressive in this day and age. So congrats on that,
Thanks.
man. Very cool.
Thank you.
And how about for Living Colour over the years?
Well, you know, there's it's funny, man, because you think about genres, right? And metal and hard rock has gone into like super subgenres of everything, right? And it seems to me that when I came up, bands were their own genre. Bands were doing what they were doing. Like Led Zeppelin was doing its thing, and Sabbath was doing its thing. And that's the kind of thing that influenced us. But I was listening to Sabbath, but I was also listening to Sly Stone, and
Right.
you know, and I never made a separation between the things I liked. I just like what I like, you know. So if I'm listening to one kind of music, you know, King Crimson, I'm just digging it, right? And I would listen to Kool and the Gang, and people would say I was out of my mind, but I just dig it. And so when it came time to start making Living Colour music, it was really just every song had its own thing, and that's what we just did.
But that's what makes it unique, and that's what makes it Living Colour, and that's what makes it Sevendust, that stew of the things that influenced you. What about you, Corey? What was your kind of stew that made the whole thing work?
You know, I think even within the four of us, there's something very specific about what we do. You know, Vernon comes through sort of a harmonic jazz sort of thing. Will sort of the straight ahead bop and funk kind of thing. Doug Wimbish, who's like one of the progenitors of hip hop, you know, and me just being out of my mind helps.
Mainly that. Mainly that.
And, you know, and that's the stew. That is the stew. And with it comes, you know, people's tastes. So for somebody outside of that, it's a lot to take in. You have to pick your poison and figure out where you want to go. Okay, I like that, and if I sit long enough, I'll get the rest of it. And for us, it's hard because, you know, there are lots of things, lots of places we could play, but people only hear one thing. So we'd love to do more festivals in the States and that kind of stuff, but they hear sometimes they only hear one thing, or they only hear Cult of Personality.